Hello. Good, it's afternoon here from the UK on Sunday, the 10th of October. Just recording again another blog that I'm fully up to date for all blogs that you can find on hexochangenow.com. You can see that website above my head and scrolling across the bottom if you're interested in any of my own personal thinking, podcasts I've been part of or hosted, live events, and a whole range of other blogs and other interesting content around trying to rehumanize a more inclusive, socially equitable world. Feel free to subscribe at hexochangenow.com. Just pop in your first name and your email address and you'll get 1 to 2 updates from me every week. It'd be really great to get to know you. The other thing as well, every Thursday, Friday, what I try to do, you'll find from a Calendly link, I'm trying to do a number of meet and greets as well. It's just brilliant meeting new, interesting, curious human beings out there. And I love to do that without any intention apart from human connection. On a Thursday and Friday each week, a couple of 20-minute slots, should that be of interest. So back to the recording of this last blog. Again, for those that may not have seen this before, I actually record the blogs using StreamYard, so that then there is actually a reference that pops onto my Gary Turner Strategic Advisor YouTube channel, makes it easier to access, and I can also then apply the YouTube link to the blog on my website, which makes it more accessible. So different people with different learning styles, or indeed maybe different types of disability, have full access to the content. So that's the background. So let's get into it. So getting real from the inside out personally. So this is an iteration of the last blog that I recorded, which is about the new Inside Out live stream show that myself and my friend and co-collaborator Lucy Bramley are hosting. So this is a bit more personal. So Lucy Bramley and I started our Inside Out show exploration yesterday, which can also be found below, riffing on what we hope to achieve by holding space for constructive emergent dialogue every 2 weeks, taking in important topics to us both around sustainability, being more human, challenging widespread greenwashing that is occurring within too much of manufacturing, and so much more. We would love for you to join us and share what emerged for you. If you'd like to be on a guest, do let us know. We're actually seeking diverse perspectives with an ideally increasing weighting to global South stories and voices, yet that could be through different mediums such as poetry and writing, as well as the live show. Great idea to Lucy. Why that's really important, it's a bit of an intersection here, is what I'm learning, of course, is as somebody that comes from the currently dominant group, we don't have a full appreciation of how I still oppress those global South countries. So if I work, for example, in chemical distribution, as I do, and I'm selling products that will go all around the world, there's a very real risk that local tribes, indigenous people that are just living off the land locally are getting displaced by corporate capture, by land being offered by local governments to corporations to expand their business. There's a really big web of stuff going on that we need to be increasingly aware of, and trying to get those voices, particularly onto a platform, myself and Lucy, we know is a big stretch at this stage. And that's why we really loved Lucy's idea that if over time you know of anybody that you think might want to offer a contribution to this dialogue, but maybe doesn't want to come on live, we'd love to invite poetry and other writing. So that's a bit more of the context there. So Earthshots, getting curious. Did any of you watch Earthshots on the other night on the BBC? Piercing clarity as to the man-made, in particular, damage to our natural systems that has propagated over the last 100 years, and something I'm directly complicitly within as part of the global chemicals industry, which still thrives in literally, brackets, insane, unsustainable growth during COVID and beyond on fossil fuels and upstream feedstocks. This is not public knowledge. Sorry, this is public knowledge. If you just look at the numbers of any chemical company, you can see the sales statistics. However, I'm also curious about where does the funding for Earthshots come from? So the Royal Foundation, a registered charity, is funded entirely by a number of generous supporters who enable the pioneering work we do, this is a quote, to develop solutions and bring about sustainable change to issues that matter to society. I have some inquiry then around who are these generous supporters, and is there any privilege being received in return for said support? I don't know, just curious. So the Royal Society is one such donor that I researched, a society that has minimal diversity leading it. All bar one of the leadership are white men and one other white woman, maybe just chance, but severely lacking diversity. And there's a link to the donors. David Attenborough is a national treasure, but does it take our royalty, founded on colonialism, if we're honest, to wake us up? And if yes, will our new awareness help turn around our planetary challenges? or just accelerate them, and all whilst reinforcing the reliance on colonial and patriarchal power? Question. I don't know the answers. These are some of the questions I'm sitting in. And also, who really benefits in the end? Is it local people or corporations from all of this activity? I don't have all the answers, just some further questions that I sit in, and I invite you to explore them too. So growth or degrowth? So the cancerous double-digit growth that is natural parlance in the business world, alongside war metaphors such as let's smash the competition, we need to expand market share, and we need to acquire them before they get too big. They seem really innocent statements, don't they? But it's pretty oppressive, dominating language if you really sit in it and internalize them. What energy are we sending out, and which voices are we not hearing when we are in that myopic state? Question mark. So the growth that we treat as just business as usual reminds me of my own testicular cancer experience during Q1 2020 as COVID hit, an 8x growth in my body in just over an 8-week period, which my body struggled to contain. I wonder if Mother Nature is reacting exactly the same way right now after 100 years of cancerous, often extractive growth at all costs, benefiting far too few people at the expense of nature and, of course, the many as well. A couple of mornings back, I experienced firsthand a second insane monsoon-type weather in less than 3 months here in the UK, something that has never been experienced in over 20 years here. I share this as I need to change my ways. My industry needs to change its ways, and I would also invite all of us to seriously and deeply review our personal and work-based practices. A book I still need to get to, as recommended by my friend Lorraine Smith, who is an excellent futuristic writer, is Less is More by Jason Hickel. I have it behind me. If you have already read this, do drop me a line and let me know what you took away and what you may challenge. What areas of focus will most turn the tide of our current challenges? Transforming digitally, rehumanizing work, making processes more agile, turning around social justice challenges, all of this is really important. However, if new ways of being, doing, and organizing are not being designed in line with planetary thresholds, i.e. nature, why are we doing them at all? Question. That is a key question and challenge to myself today. I am no sustainability expert, and I do not pretend to be, but I understand and sense enough into systems and can see what is coming or not in terms of real, meaningful, systemically considerate change and design to know that this is serious, and that many solutions that are being offered, certainly within my sector of chemicals, are not honest enough about their greenwash sustainability credentials. More onto that to follow, and this is a very real existential risk to us all if we do not stay aware and curious. I believe we all need to be asking way more challenging questions of ourselves and of our organizations. I know not all people have the safety to challenge, so I ask my fellow Caucasian male peers, in particular, to please step up and get interested and curious. Opportunities as well as threats. Hashtag hush money in return for silence is no longer acceptable, not for me anyway. Time to start getting real. As a PS, my friend Luis Suarez shared this very interesting new research into 972 CEOs, of which 88% were male. I invite you to take a look, and you'll find the hyperlink again. If you go to hexochange.com, you'll be able to find this Getting Real from the Inside Out blog. Look for the one that says personally, and you'll be able to hyperlink through to this very, very interesting report. And by having a look at the correlations and the connections, you may be able to deduce between this report and what I've shared in the rest of this blog so far. And some of the hints, financial metrics remain the number one priority. Growth is the second priority. The lowest priority is diversity, equity, inclusion, and sustainability, or ESG. There are a lot of converging systemic and societal challenges. Yet if we can get out of our heads, drop our egos, there's a typo, and truly see and sense together as the connected human race that we are, we can turn this around. I really do believe that. So what's next? I assert it will require us deeply connecting and understanding ourselves, connecting to others, and getting much braver to understand the interconnectivity and still too often oppression of any of our current systems. I shared within this LinkedIn post today some further reflections. Again, you can find that hyperlink at hexochangenow.com. I would love to chat with you and exchange thoughts and reflections. If you feel moved, you can do that by setting up a meet and greet 20-minute meeting using the link at my website. Wishing you a safe, curious, and inquiry-fueled morning, afternoon, or evening ahead. And that still remains. I do offer that to you. This stuff's big, right? this stuff is not small fry. We're not talking about it on the news properly. I'm not talking about it with my friends and family deeply enough. Definitely not being talked about in the workplace properly. And there's no judgment in this comment or this recording. It's just like there's so much potential within all of us. We have an abundance of energy and potential, but we're so often like shoehorned into that day job if we're in the global north, or maybe you're just fighting for survival if you're in the global south, just trying to protect your land that you just want to be left alone on with your family. So there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of interweaves occurring, but now is the time for us to step up, step in, and get engaged in all of these different conversations. Let's have some fun doing it. And again, do subscribe. I'd love for you to follow my work at hexochangenow.com. Again, HexoChange is a transformational change practice for individuals and teams, pretty much is the best way to summarize it. Transformational retreats. I'm offering one-to-one thinking partnership support for CEOs, co-founders, and founders of startups and scale-ups. And yeah, just really love to hear from you. And until next time, I hope you find some value in this if you've watched it, and speak